So anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Teleported in Fairy Tail to Get Fairy Power. The road to Konoha wound through ancient forests like a tired gray snake, and Naruto Dragneel walked it alone. Well, not entirely alone. You're doing it again, a voice rumbled inside his skull. Deep and ancient, like stones grinding together at the bottom of a river. Muttering your dreams out loud for every passing bird to hear. Naruto grinned at the empty air, scuffing his sandals against the packed earth. Nobody's around to hear, Kurama. Just trees and squirrels. And you. I am not a squirrel. Nope. You're a grumpy old fox spirit who lives in my soul. Naruto patted his chest affectionately. Best roommate I never asked for. A warm pulse of irritation flowed through their bond, but beneath it, something softer. After 16 years sharing a body, Naruto had learned to read Kurama's silences the way sailors read the sky. The fox could pretend to be annoyed all he wanted, but they both knew the truth. Focus on the road, boy. We're close now. Naruto's feet carried him faster of their own accord. The trees thinned ahead, and through their branches, he caught glimpses of something that made his heart stutter: stone walls climbing toward the sky, roofs stacked against hillsides like children's blocks, and rising above it all, the carved faces of ancient mages staring down from the mountain. Konoha. The hidden kingdom of the leaf. He stopped at the edge of the forest, drinking it in. His mother's voice echoed in memories so old he couldn't separate them from dreams. A beautiful place, Naruto. Full of magic and wonder. One day, you'll see it for yourself. She died when he was too young to remember her face properly. His father too. The Yellow Flash, the greatest mage who'd ever lived, according to the stories, had vanished the same night they did, swallowed by some catastrophe nobody would talk about. But Naruto didn't believe in coincidence. You think he'll be there, Kurama said. Not a question. He has to be. Naruto's hand drifted to the necklace beneath his shirt, a simple pendant bearing a symbol he'd traced 1,000 times, a spiral, the mark of the Dragneel family. The stories say he appeared from nowhere, saved the kingdom from the nine-tailed fox, and disappeared. But my mother wrote about him in her journal. She knew him, Kurama. And if he's alive. If he's alive, he might know what happened to your parents. Yes. You've mentioned this. Approximately 9,000 times. 9,003, actually. You forgot the ones last night while I was trying to sleep. I do not sleep, whelp. I am eternally aware of your every thought, including the ones where you imagine. LA. Naruto clapped his hands over his ears, which did absolutely nothing to block the mental connection. Some things are private, you overgrown lizard. Fox. I am a fox. And your mind is my home. If you must think embarrassing things, think them quieter. Naruto's face burned, but he was already moving again, striding toward the enormous wooden gates of Konoha. Guards in blue flak jackets watched him approach, hands resting on weapon hilts. Halt! State your business in the Hidden Kingdom. Naruto stopped, spreading his empty hands. I'm here to join a guild. I'm a mage. The guards exchanged glances. One of them, a young man with spiky brown hair, squinted at him. A mage from where? You don't wear any guild mark. Traveling solo until now. Naruto shrugged, letting a tiny spark of lightning dance between his fingers. But I heard Foxtail was looking for new members. At the name, both guards straightened. The older one's expression shifted from suspicion to something almost like respect, tinged with wariness. Foxtail, eh? You sure about that? Those lunatics cause more property damage than half the rogue guilds combined. I like them already, Kurama muttered. Naruto grinned. Sounds like my kind of people. The guards waved him through with amused shakes of their heads, and Naruto stepped into Konoha for the first time. The kingdom swallowed him whole. Streets twisted between buildings covered in colorful signs, merchants hawking everything from enchanted scrolls to fried dumplings on sticks. Mages in guild cloaks of every color pushed through crowds, some trailing sparks or carrying weapons that glowed with inner light. Children ran past laughing, chasing a floating ball of fire that their mother, a woman with flames dancing in her hair, called after them half-heartedly. It was overwhelming. It was perfect. Naruto wandered for hours, drinking it all in. He asked for directions to Foxtail 3 times and got 3 different answers, each more confusing than the last. By late afternoon, he'd somehow ended up in a part of town where the buildings grew shabbier and the crowds thinner. You're lost, Kurama observed. I'm exploring. You're lost. I'm taking the scenic route. You are spectacularly, magnificently, impressively lost. I've lived inside humans before, but I've never encountered one with such a complete absence of directional sense. It's almost artistic. Naruto opened his mouth to argue, but a voice cut him off. Young man. Young man, wait. He turned to find a figure hurrying toward him, a man in dark robes, slightly out of breath, with sharp eyes and a smile that didn't quite reach them. His hair was silver at the temples, and he moved with the careful grace of someone who'd spent years learning to seem harmless. Yes? Naruto's hand drifted toward the kunai pouch at his hip. Old instincts. Growing up alone taught you to be careful of strangers who approached you in empty streets. The man stopped a respectful distance away, still smiling. Forgive me for accosting you like this. It's just, he squinted, studying Naruto's face. That pendant. The spiral mark. You're a Dragneel, aren't you? Naruto's heart stopped. Careful, Kurama warned. How do you know that name? The man's smile widened, and something in it made Naruto's skin crawl despite his sudden hope. Because I've been searching for someone with that mark for 16 years. My name is Mizuki. And I believe you're looking for the yellow flash. The tea house Mizuki led into was small and dim, tucked between buildings in a way that felt deliberate. Hidden. Naruto sat across from the man, steam curling from his untouched cup, while Kurama prowled through his mind like an agitated cat. I don't trust him, the fox said flatly. You don't trust anyone. I trusted you. Against my better judgment. And look how that turned out, I'm stuck inside a teenager who can't read a map. Naruto bit back a smile and focused on Mizuki, who was watching him with an expression of benevolent concern that didn't match his eyes. You knew my parents? Naruto asked. Mizuki nodded solemnly. Kushina was one of the finest mages I ever had the privilege of knowing. Her spirit magic, he shook his head, seeming overcome. And your father? Minato. The yellow flash himself. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. I was there the night they disappeared. The words hit Naruto like a physical blow. You saw what happened? I did. Mizuki's face twisted with old grief. A terrible thing. A betrayal that shook the very foundations of this kingdom. Your parents gave their lives to protect something precious, Naruto. Something the council has hidden ever since. He's lying, Kurama said instantly. I can taste it. His heartbeat is steady as a drum, no real grief there. Just performance. But Naruto was already leaning forward, desperate. What? What did they protect? Is the yellow flash, is my father still alive? Mizuki's eyes flickered, just for an instant, with something that might have been satisfaction. That's a dangerous question, my boy. There are people in this kingdom who would do anything to keep the truth buried. People with power. He glanced around the empty tea house, then reached into his robes. When his hand emerged, it held a scroll bound with golden thread. This contains everything I know. The location of the yellow flash, the truth about your parents' death, and the secret the council has killed to protect. He set it on the table between them. I've guarded it for 16 years, waiting for someone worthy to inherit its knowledge. Someone with the Dragneel blood. Naruto's hand trembled as he reached for it. Naruto, stop. The voice in his head wasn't Kurama's. It came from the doorway, sharp and urgent, and Naruto whirled to find a young woman standing there with a dozen companions fanning out behind her. She had pale eyes, white as winter clouds, and long dark hair that swayed as she strode toward them, a set of celestial keys jangling at her belt. Don't touch that scroll, she said, her voice steady despite the flush on her cheeks. Mizuki is a fraud. He's been selling false information to desperate people for years. Mizuki's pleasant expression shattered. You! How dare you? How dare I? The girl's eyes flashed. How dare you prey on someone's hope? How many families have you destroyed with your lies, Mizuki? How many people have paid you their life savings for secrets that led nowhere? Naruto looked between them, confusion and dawning anger warring in his chest. What is she talking about? Mizuki's hand shot toward the scroll. And stopped, frozen inches from it, as chains of golden light erupted from the floor and wrapped around his wrist. The girl had one of her keys extended, a lion motif glowing on its surface. I wouldn't, she said quietly. My spirits don't like liars. Mizuki snarled, dark magic crackling around his free hand. You think a celestial mage can stop me? I've killed better wizards than you, girl. Finally, Kurama sighed. A real fight. I was getting bored. Naruto rose from his seat, and lightning answered his call. It sparked along his arms, crawling up his neck and dancing in his hair, not the controlled spark he'd shown the guards, but something wilder. Something hungry. The Jinchuriki magic inside him stirred, responding to his anger, and Kurama's power bled through the cracks in his control. You tried to use me, Naruto said, and his voice held an echo now, a deeper tone beneath it, ancient and terrible. You pretended to know my parents. Mizuki's eyes went wide. You're the fox tail. The girl's voice cut through the rising tension. Now. Her companions moved. A tall boy with pineapple-shaped hair raised his hands, and shadows stretched from every corner of the tea house, swallowing Mizuki's dark magic before it could fully form. A girl with red hair and bronze skin appeared behind the fraud, a massive axe materializing in her hands. Another blonde, cheerful-looking, hefting a sword that dripped water, blocked the exit with a grin. Surrender, the pale-eyed girl said calmly, and my friend Shikamaru won't have to get creative with those shadows. Trust me, you don't want that. He's lazy, but when he actually tries, she shrugged. It's embarrassing for everyone involved. Mizuki looked around wildly, calculating his odds. For a moment, Naruto thought he might fight anyway, the dark magic building around him suggested as much. Then the shadows tightened, and he went still. Fine, he spat. Fine. But this isn't over. Do you hear me? This isn't. The shadow user, Shikamaru, sighed. Yeah, villain speech. Very dramatic. Can we just tie him up and go? This is cutting into my cloud watching time. An hour later, Naruto sat on the steps of the tea house, watching as the Konoha guard dragged Mizuki away in enchanted chains. The pale-eyed girl sat beside him, her companions scattered around the street in various states of alert relaxation. I'm sorry, she said quietly. About Mizuki. About getting your hopes up. Naruto shrugged, though his chest ached. Not your fault. You're the one who stopped me from making an idiot of myself. He glanced at her, really looking this time. How'd you know? About him, I mean. Hinata. What? She smiled, a small, shy expression that transformed her face. My name. Hinata Heartfilia. And to answer your question, she gestured at the golden keys at her belt. Celestial mages learn to read people. It's part of the job. Negotiating with spirits requires understanding what they really want, not just what they say. Her gaze softened. Mizuki wanted something from you. His heartbeat gave him away every time he mentioned your parents. Smart girl, Kurama observed. Observant. I like her. Shut up. Make me. Naruto snorted, then quickly turned it into a cough when Hinata looked at him curiously. Sorry. Allergies. Naruto. Naruto Dragneel. I know. At his surprised look, she gestured at his pendant. The spiral mark. It's famous, in certain circles. The Dragneel family were legendary mages. She hesitated. The yellow flash really was your father? According to my mother's journal. She wrote about him constantly. The way he laughed, the way he fought, the way he. Naruto stopped, throat tight. I never met him. Either of them. They died when I was a baby. Hinata was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, I understand. My mother, she's gone too. My father is complicated. She looked down at her hands. That's why I travel with them. She nodded at her companions. They're my family now. My guild. Foxtail? Foxtail. She smiled again, warmer this time. We're technically on a mission right now, tracking Mizuki, actually. The master heard rumors he was targeting someone with connections to the yellow flash. She glanced at him sidelong. I don't think he expected that someone to be a lightning Jinchuriki. Naruto went still. You know about that? Hinata knows everything, said the blonde swordswoman, appearing at their side with a tray of steamed buns. It's annoying, honestly. She guessed my crush on Suigetsu within 5 minutes of meeting me. 5 minutes. She thrust a bun at Naruto. Here. You look hungry. I'm Karui, by the way. Karui Ariel. Enchanted swordswoman, expert in water magic, and the only sane member of this guild. From nearby, a boy with pale blue hair and a perpetual smirk called out, I heard that, Karui. You were meant to, Suigetsu. Naruto accepted the bun, overwhelmed. You're all really loud. Thank you. Karui beamed. It wasn't, never mind. Hinata laughed, a genuine sound, soft and surprised, as if she hadn't expected it. We must seem chaotic to an outsider. But I promise, we're good people. And the master, her eyes lit up. The master would want to meet you, Naruto. A lightning Jinchuriki with Dragneel blood? He'd never forgive himself if he missed that. A guild, Kurama mused. A family. Isn't that what you've always wanted, boy? Naruto thought about it, really thought about it. The years of loneliness. The whispers behind his back in every village he'd passed through. The way people looked at him when they sensed the fox inside him, the ancient spirit of destruction that had nearly destroyed this very kingdom 16 years ago. But these people had seen him call lightning, had heard Hinata name him Jinchuriki, and none of them had run. None of them had reached for weapons.
Karui had offered him a bun.
What, Naruto said slowly, is Foxtail like? The grin that spread across Hinata's face was nothing like her shy smile from before. It was bright and fierce and full of mischief. It's home, she said simply. Come find out for yourself. The Foxtail Guild Hall sat at the edge of the kingdom, where the stone walls gave way to forest and the Hokage Mountain loomed overhead. It was a sprawling wooden structure that looked like someone had started building, changed their mind halfway through, and kept going anyway. Towers sprouted at odd angles. Windows appeared where windows had no business being. Smoke rose from at least 4 different chimneys, each a different color. It was, Naruto decided immediately, the most beautiful building he'd ever seen. Inside was chaos. Mages of every description filled the space arguing, laughing, sparring, eating. A man with a bowl-cut haircut and eyebrows thick as caterpillars was doing one-handed push-ups in the corner while shouting encouragement at a younger boy. A woman with paper folded into her hair sat calmly reading despite the ruckus. 2 men who looked almost identical were arm wrestling at the bar while a tiny old lady cheered them on. And at the center of it all, seated in a worn leather chair with a pipe in his hand and a smile on his wrinkled face, was the master. Hiruzen Sarutobi might have been old, but his eyes were sharp as a hawk's, and they fixed on Naruto the moment he walked through the door. He rose slowly, leaning on his staff, and crossed the room with the kind of unhurried dignity that commanded attention. Conversations faded. Heads turned. So, the master said, his voice carrying easily through the sudden silence. You're the young man who nearly blasted a fraud into next week with lightning magic. Naruto swallowed. Yes, sir. Sorry about the property damage. The tea house, I mean. I'll pay for. Sarutobi laughed, a great booming sound that shook his whole frame. Property damage. Boy, last week our ice mage accidentally froze half the street because someone looked at him wrong. You'll fit right in. He extended a hand, and Naruto shook it automatically. I'm Hiruzen Sarutobi, master of Foxtail. And you, I understand, are Naruto Dragneel. Just Naruto is fine. The Dragneel part. I'm not sure I've earned it yet. Something flickered in the old man's eyes. Your father would disagree. Minato was many things: brilliant, kind, impossibly fast, but above all, he was humble. He'd be proud to see you carrying his name. He squeezed Naruto's hand once, firmly, then released it. Now. Hinata tells me you're looking for a guild. For a family. Naruto nodded, not trusting his voice. Sarutobi studied him for a long moment. Then he reached into his robe and produced a small iron stamp. This will hurt, he said cheerfully. Fair warning. Our mark is enchanted to bond with the wearer's magic. Some people say it feels like being struck by lightning. Naruto blinked. I'm struck by lightning all the time. It's kind of my thing. Is it now? The master's grin widened. Then this should be easy. The stab pressed against the back of Naruto's left hand, and fire. Not lightning, not pain like he knew it, but fire that burned through every nerve and settled deep in his bones. Kurama roared inside him, half alarm and half surprise, as the mark seared itself into existence, a stylized fox head, its tail curling into an infinite spiral. Then it faded to a gentle warmth, and Naruto opened eyes he didn't remember closing. Everyone was staring at him. His eyes, someone whispered. They're glowing. Naruto looked down at his hands, and sure enough, golden light flickered in his palms, leaking from his skin like steam from hot earth. The fox mark pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Sarutobi's expression had gone serious. Remarkable. The mark responds to Jinchuriki magic differently than I expected. He met Naruto's eyes. How do you feel, boy? Naruto considered the question. The power thrumming through him felt settled, somehow. Like he'd found a key that fit a lock he hadn't known existed. Like I'm home, he said. And around them, the chaos of Foxtail resumed as if it had never paused, laughter and arguments and the crash of breaking furniture, all the sounds of a family that had just gained a new member. Hinata appeared at his elbow, shy smile back in place. Welcome to the guild, she said softly. It's loud, it's messy, and sometimes people set things on fire by accident. But it's ours. Naruto looked at the mark on his hand, then at the crowd of strangers who'd somehow become something more in the space of a single afternoon. Yeah, he said, and for the first time in as long as he could remember, the word didn't feel like a lie. It really is. 2. The first mission. 3 days into his new life with Foxtail, Naruto learned 2 important things. First, guild members did not knock. Second, guild members especially did not knock when the person inside was sleeping, because waking someone up by throwing open their door and shouting was considered funny.
Naruto. Wake up. Mission.
Naruto shot out of bed with lightning crackling around his fists, heart hammering, ready to fight whatever threat had found him, only to find Karui Ariel standing in his doorway with a massive grin and a half-eaten apple.
Rise and shine, Thunder Thighs. The master wants us in the main hall ASAP.
She tossed the apple core over her shoulder, someone yelped in the hallway, and vanished.
Naruto stared at the empty doorway, breathing hard. I hate her, he muttered. You absolutely do not, Kurama rumbled, amused. Neither do I. That girl has excellent taste in chaos.
Grumbling, Naruto pulled on his clothes and stumbled toward the main hall, following the sound of raised voices and what might have been an explosion. The hall was packed when he arrived. Most of the faces were familiar now. He'd spent the last 3 days being introduced to what felt like 1,000 people, each crazier than the last.
Hinata stood near the front with her celestial keys gleaming, Suigetsu lounging against a pillar beside her.
Shikamaru was slumped in a corner, already looking tired.
Karui had somehow acquired another apple.
And at the center, standing on a table for maximum visibility, was the master.
Ah, Naruto. Good, everyone's here. Sarutobi puffed his pipe, sending smoke rings toward the ceiling. We've received a mission request. A serious one. The kind that requires our best. Which means we're sending them, someone muttered. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Sarutobi's eyes twinkled. Precisely.
Hinata, Shikamaru, Karui, Suigetsu, and our newest member, Naruto.
You'll be working together on this one. Naruto blinked. Me? But I just got here. I don't even know what I'm doing.
That's how you learn, the master said simply.
By doing.
His expression sobered. This mission involves a captured comrade. Kakashi Hatake disappeared 3 days ago while investigating rumors of dark magic in the eastern forests. Yesterday, we received word he's been taken by an old enemy.
A chill ran through the room. Mizuki, Hinata breathed. Sarutobi nodded grimly. The hyena has returned. And he's sent us a message.
He produced a small crystal from his robe and tossed it into the air.
Light bloomed from it, forming an image that made Naruto's stomach turn.
Kakashi Hatake, a tall man with silver hair and a kind face, from what Naruto could see stood in a clearing, bound by chains of shadow. But it was his eyes that made the room go silent.
They weren't human anymore.
They were yellow, feral, burning with mindless rage. His skin had taken on a grayish cast, and his teeth.
Vulcan transformation, Suigetsu said quietly. Mizuki's using dark magic to turn him into a beast.
He's given us 3 days, Sarutobi continued. We're to retrieve Kakashi and bring him home. But be warned, the transformation is progressive. If we don't reverse it soon, he may be lost forever. Naruto's fists clenched at his sides.
Mizuki.
The fraud who'd tried to use his parents' memory against him. And now he'd done this to someone's friend, someone's family.
Careful, Kurama warned. Anger is fuel, but it burns fast. Save it for when it matters. Naruto took a breath. Forced his hands to relax. When do we leave? He asked. Sarutobi's eyes met his, and something like approval flickered there. Now.
The forests won't wait. The eastern forest swallowed them whole. Trees towered overhead, their branches weaving a canopy so thick that sunlight barely touched the ground. Roots crawled across the path like sleeping snakes, and the air smelled of damp earth and something else, something wrong.
A taint in the magic that made Naruto's skin prickle.
This way, Hinata murmured, one hand extended. A small glow surrounded her fingers, some kind of detection spell, Naruto guessed.
The dark magic residue is strongest to the northeast.
They moved in silence after that, picking their way through the undergrowth with the practiced ease of people who'd done this before. Naruto tried to mimic their movements, but every twig seemed to snap under his feet, every leaf rustled loudly enough to wake the dead. You move like a herd of drunk oxen, Kurama observed.
I'm doing my best. Your best is embarrassing. Shift your weight to the balls of your feet. Let your knees absorb the impact.
And for the love of all that is sacred, stop stepping on the noisy plants. Naruto adjusted his gait, and to his surprise, the noise diminished.
Not eliminated, he'd need practice for that, but better. Hinata glanced back and offered a small smile. You're learning fast. Before he could respond, Suigetsu held up a hand. Everyone froze.
There, he breathed, pointing through a gap in the trees. The clearing beyond was wrong. The grass had died, replaced by blackened earth that steamed faintly in the dim light. Symbols were carved into the ground, circles within circles, writing in a language that hurt to look at. And at the center, chained to a massive stone, was Kakashi. Or what had been Kakashi.
The transformation had progressed since Sarutobi's projection.
His body had grown, muscles bulging grotesquely beneath gray skin. His hair was gone, replaced by patches of coarse fur. Most horrifying of all, his face had lengthened into something almost canine, jaws filled with too many teeth. But his eyes, those yellow, feral eyes, fixed on them with unmistakable recognition. And hatred. He knows us, Karui whispered, her voice cracking. He knows us, and he can't stop himself. Mizuki's work, Shikamaru said grimly. He's using the dark magic to twist Kakashi's emotions, turning love into rage, loyalty into violence. The real Kakashi is still in there somewhere, but he's drowning. The boy is right, Kurama said quietly. I can feel it. The victim's soul is trapped beneath the transformation, screaming to be free. But every moment we wait, the magic sinks deeper. Naruto stepped forward. Naruto, wait, Hinata grabbed his arm. We need a plan. Mizuki could be anywhere, watching. Then let him watch. Naruto's voice was calm, but lightning flickered beneath his skin. I'm not leaving Kakashi like that a second longer than necessary. He walked into the clearing. The transformed Kakashi lunged immediately, chain snapping taut as he strained toward Naruto with foam flying from his jaws. The sound that came from his throat wasn't human, a guttural roar that shook leaves from the trees. Hey, Naruto said softly, stopping just out of reach. I don't know you. We've never met. But your friends are here. Hinata, Karui, Suigetsu, Shikamaru. They came to bring you home. Kakashi roared again, but beneath it, Naruto heard something else. A whimper. A cry for help buried under layers of rage. He hears you, Kurama said. Keep going. I know what it's like to be trapped, Naruto continued. To have something inside you that isn't you, that wants to hurt people, that makes everyone afraid. He pressed a hand to his chest. I've got a fox spirit in here. Literally. He's a giant pain in the ass, but he's also my friend. We found a way to work together. Flattery will get you everywhere. The point is, Naruto met Kakashi's yellow eyes, willing the man inside to hear him. You're not alone. You've got people who love you. People who won't give up, no matter what Mizuki does to you. So fight it, Kakashi. Fight it now. For a heartbeat, something shifted in those feral eyes. Recognition. Pain. Hope. Then Mizuki's voice slithered through the clearing. Touching. Really? I'm almost moved. Darkness erupted from the trees, and Mizuki stepped into view with shadows curling around him like living things. His smile was worse than Naruto remembered, hungry and cruel and utterly sane. You think words can break my spell? I've spent years perfecting this magic. Kakashi Hatake belongs to me now. He'll kill everyone you love, and then, Mizuki's gaze fixed on Naruto. Then I'll take the fox for myself. Over my dead body, Kurama snarled. That can be arranged. The battle exploded into motion. Mizuki raised his hands, and shadows flooded the clearing, not just darkness, but solid shadows that grabbed at limbs and tried to drag victims under. Suigetsu met them with water, his blade carving through the gloom as he shouted, Karui, flank left. Hinata, summon. Keys flashed. Golden light blazed as a massive lion erupted from nowhere, its roar shattering the nearest shadows. Hinata stood behind it, pale eyes blazing with determination. Shikamaru's shadow stretched to meet Mizuki's, a battle of darkness against darkness. Troublesome, he muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. He's stronger than I expected. Naruto didn't wait for strategy. Lightning carried him forward, faster than thought, and he slammed into Mizuki with enough force to crack stone. They tumbled across the clearing, Naruto's fists wreathed in electricity, Mizuki's shadows lashing like whips. You're strong, Mizuki gasped, blocking a blow that would have shattered his ribs. But strength isn't enough. You don't understand the magic you're dealing with. I understand that you hurt my friends. Naruto drove a knee into Mizuki's stomach, then grabbed his head and slammed it into the ground. That's all I need to know. Behind him, Kakashi's roars had changed. They were higher now, more desperate, the sounds of someone fighting a battle Naruto couldn't see. The transformation is accelerating, Kurama warned. Mizuki's magic is responding to his fear. If we don't break the connection soon. Naruto looked at Mizuki beneath him, at the dark magic pouring from his hands like smoke. The connection. Of course. Kurama, he breathed. Lend me your power. All of it. Boy, that much chakra could. Kakashi doesn't have time. For a moment, nothing. Then Kurama's voice came again, softer than Naruto had ever heard it. Hold on to yourself. Don't let me drown you. Power erupted. Naruto screamed as the fox's chakra flooded through him, red and wild and ancient, burning away everything in its path. His vision went crimson. His skin flushed with heat. Lightning and foxfire intertwined, crackling around him in a corona of pure destruction.
Mizuki's eyes went wide. No. No.
That's impossible, the seal should hold. It does hold, Naruto growled, and his voice was two voices now, human and fox speaking as one. We choose to work together. He drove his fist into the ground, and the shockwave shattered Mizuki's shadows, broke his concentration, shattered the dark magic connecting him to Kakashi. The fraud screamed as his own power rebounded, throwing him across the clearing to land in a broken heap. Behind Naruto, Kakashi's transformation melted. The fur receded, the muscles shrank, the yellow faded from his eyes until they were human again, exhausted, confused, but human.
Naruto.
Hinata's voice reached him through the roaring in his ears.
Naruto, you can stop now.
He's safe. He's safe.
But the power kept coming. Kept building.
Kurama's chakra wanted out, wanted to be free after 16 years of confinement, and Naruto was drowning in it.
Easy, the fox murmured. Easy, Kit. I'm here. Come back to me.
The power receded, slow as a tide going out. Naruto collapsed to his knees, gasping, as the crimson faded from his vision and the world snapped back into focus. Hinata was there, hands on his shoulders, pale eyes wide with fear.
Naruto? Naruto, can you hear me?
Yeah, he croaked. Yeah, He looked past her, to where Suigetsu and Karui were helping a dazed Kakashi to his feet. The silver-haired man met his eyes, and despite his exhaustion, he smiled. It was a small smile, barely there, but it reached his eyes. Thank you, Kakashi said quietly.
For not giving up on me.
Naruto opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, a groan from across the clearing reminded them all of unfinished business. Mizuki was stirring, broken but alive, dark magic already beginning to gather around him again.
Not this time, Shikamaru muttered, and his shadow snapped forward, binding Mizuki hand and foot. I've got him. Let's go home.
The journey back to Konoha was quiet. Kakashi slept most of the way, supported by Suigetsu and Karui, while Hinata walked beside Naruto with an expression he couldn't quite read. You saved him, she said finally. You barely know him, and you risked everything to bring him back.
Naruto shrugged, embarrassed. He's Guild. That's what family does, right? Hinata was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, my father always said family was about blood. About obligation and duty and continuing the line.
She glanced at Naruto, and there was something vulnerable in her expression.
But watching you today, I think he was wrong. Family is about choice. About looking at someone and deciding they matter. Naruto didn't know what to say to that, so he just nodded and kept walking. Behind them, Shikamaru was muttering to Suigetsu. You realize this means we're going to have to explain to the master why our newest member nearly blew himself up, right? Suigetsu grinned. Yep. And you're smiling about it? Absolutely. Chaos is the only thing that makes life interesting. Shikamaru sighed. Troublesome. The Foxtail Guild Hall erupted when they returned.
Kakashi's recovery was greeted with cheers that shook the rafters, and when the story of Naruto's fight spread amplified and exaggerated with every retelling, he found himself surrounded by people clapping his back, ruffling his hair, pressing drinks into his hands.
It was overwhelming. It was wonderful.
Sarutobi found him eventually, slipping through the crowd with the quiet grace of someone who'd spent decades navigating chaos. The old master sat beside him on a bench near the wall, puffing his pipe contentedly. You did well today, he said. Better than well. You showed restraint when it mattered most. Naruto thought about the power that had nearly consumed him, about how close he'd come to losing control. It was close. Too close. But you didn't lose. That's what matters. Sarutobi's eyes were kind. Minato would be proud of you, Naruto. I knew him, you know. Briefly. He was the kind of mage who inspired loyalty without trying, who made everyone around him want to be better. He smiled. You have that same gift. Naruto's throat tightened. You really knew him? I did. And I know he'd want you to have this. Sarutobi reached into his robe and produced a small scroll, bound with a blue ribbon. It's not much, just some notes he left behind. Observations on lightning magic, a few personal thoughts. I've kept it for 16 years, waiting for the right moment to pass it on. Naruto took the scroll with trembling hands. His father's handwriting. His father's words. Open it later, Kurama advised gently. When you're alone. This moment is for you. Naruto nodded, tucking the scroll carefully into his jacket. Thank you, master. He swallowed. I don't know how to. Then don't. Sarutobi patted his knee and stood. Just keep being who you are. That's enough. He walked away, disappearing into the crowd, and Naruto sat there for a long moment with his hand pressed against the scroll over his heart.
Around him, Foxtail celebrated.
And for the first time in his life, Naruto felt like he belonged.
3. The Treasure of Taki Town.
2 weeks passed like a dream. Naruto threw himself into guild life with the same reckless enthusiasm he brought to everything else.
He trained with Suigetsu until they both collapsed from exhaustion.
He helped Karui practice her sword forms and learned to dodge when she inevitably accidentally swung at him. He sat with Shikamaru during the strategist's frequent thinking breaks and learned to appreciate the value of patience, or at least, to tolerate it. But most of all, he spent time with Hinata.
It started small. A shared meal after a training session.
A walk through the market when they both needed supplies. Late-night conversations on the guild hall roof, watching stars will overhead while Hinata talked about her spirits and Naruto talked about Kurama, and neither of them mentioned how their shoulders touched in the darkness. "You're going to have to do something about that eventually," Kurama observed one night, as Hinata's soft laughter drifted through the cool air.
"About what?"
"About the way your heart races every time she looks at you.
It's giving me a headache."
Naruto's face burned, and he was grateful for the darkness hiding his blush.
"Shut up. Make me."
But the peace couldn't last. Naruto knew that the way he knew lightning would answer his call deep in his bones, inevitable as sunrise. So when Sarutobi called them to the master's study on a gray morning, he wasn't surprised. He was, however, confused by the expression on the old man's face. "I have a mission for your team," Sarutobi said without preamble.
"A dangerous one.
Possibly the most dangerous you've faced."
Hinata straightened. "What kind of mission?"
The master produced a scroll and unrolled it on his desk, revealing a map of the surrounding kingdoms. His finger tapped a small town nestled in the mountains to the north.
Taki Town. A peaceful place, normally. But recently, they've come into possession of something dangerous.
Something that's attracted attention from forces we'd hoped never to see again.
Shikamaru leaned forward, studying the map. "What kind of something?" Sarutobi was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, simply, "Daybreak."
The name meant nothing to Naruto, but the reaction around him told him everything.
Hinata went pale. Suigetsu's hand drifted to his sword. Even Shikamaru's lazy expression sharpened into something approaching alarm.
"I've heard stories," Karui whispered.
"Daybreak. The impurity magic. They say it can destroy kingdoms, yes."
Sarutobi's voice was heavy. "Corrupt magic itself.
Twist light into shadow and hope into despair.
It's forbidden knowledge for a reason." He looked at each of them in turn.
"The people of Taki Town don't understand what they have.
To them, it's just a golden book, a treasure to be guarded. But word has spread, and enemies are gathering."
"Who?" Naruto asked. "Who's coming?" Sarutobi met his eyes.
"The 7 ninja swordsmen of Kiri."
The name landed like a thunderclap. Naruto had heard of them, everyone had. 7 mages of terrifying power, each wielding a legendary blade forged in dark magic. They'd terrorized the kingdoms for decades, leaving destruction in their wake. And now they were coming for Daybreak. "Why us?" Suigetsu asked quietly.
"Why send a team of?" He gestured vaguely at all of them.
"Us? This is master-level threat."
"Because you're the best I have," Sarutobi said simply. "And because Daybreak cannot fall into their hands. If it does," he shook his head. "The impurity magic would give them power beyond imagining. They could reshape the world in their image."
Naruto thought about that. About kingdoms falling, about people like Hinata and Karui and Kakashi suffering under dark magic.
About his parents, who'd died protecting something precious.
"When do we leave?" he asked. Sarutobi's eyes softened. "Now."
"There's no time to waste." But Naruto, he reached out and gripped the boy's shoulder.
"Be careful. The swordsmen aren't like Mizuki. They won't monologue or grandstand.
They'll just kill you."
Naruto nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand."
"Good." The master released him and turned to the others.
"Suigetsu, you know their weapons better than anyone."
"Hinata, your spirits will be crucial for reconnaissance. Karui, your speed and sword work.
Shikamaru, your strategy." He paused.
"And Naruto, your power.
Together, you might stand a chance." "Might."
It wasn't comforting, but it was honest.
The journey to Taki Town took 3 days.
They traveled fast, stopping only when exhaustion forced them to rest. Shikamaru spent the time studying maps and muttering strategies under his breath.
Suigetsu trained with his blade until his arms shook.
Karui told terrible jokes to keep spirits up, and Hinata stayed close to Naruto, her presence a quiet comfort in the growing tension. On the third day, they crested a ridge and saw their destination. Taki Town sat in a valley between mountains, its buildings clustered around a central tower that rose like a finger pointing at the sky. It should have been beautiful, a peaceful settlement nestled in nature's embrace. But even from here, Naruto could feel the wrongness. Cold. Impossibly cold, radiating from the town like heat from a forge, but this was winter's bite, not summer's warmth. Snow-dusted rooftops that should have been green with spring. Frost crawled across windows. And in the air above the town, clouds gathered in a spiral that hadn't formed naturally. Haku, Hinata breathed. Naruto looked at her. What? The Ice Mage. One of the swordsman's allies. Her face was pale. They say he can control snow and wind like extensions of his body. That he can freeze entire armies solid in the time it takes to draw breath. Impressive, Kurama murmured. And terrifying. This won't be easy, Kit. Nothing worth doing ever is. They descended toward the town, and with every step, the cold deepened. By the time they reached the gates, Naruto's breath fogged in front of his face and his fingers ached inside his gloves. The gates were open. That was the first bad sign. The second was the bodies. Not dead, Naruto checked, heart-pounding, but frozen, trapped in blocks of ice that lined the main street like macabre statues. Villagers with expressions of terror preserved forever. Children caught mid-run. A dog, still mid-bark. He's not killing them, Hinata whispered. He's just stopping them. Why? Because he wants us to see, Shikamaru said grimly. This is a message. A warning. Turn back or join them. Naruto's fists clenched. We're not turning back. No, Suigetsu agreed, and there was something dark in his voice. We're not. They moved deeper into the frozen town, following the only path clear of ice. It led them to the central tower, where the golden book called Daybreak was supposedly kept. And waiting at its base, surrounded by swirling snow, stood a figure. He was younger than Naruto had expected. Maybe 17, with delicate features and long dark hair that moved in a wind that touched nothing else. His eyes were pale as winter sky, and when he spoke, his voice carried the quiet certainty of falling snow. You shouldn't have come. Hinata stepped forward, and Naruto's heart lurched. Haku, please. You don't have to do this. The Ice Mage's expression flickered, just for an instant, with something that might have been pain. You know my name. I know a lot about you. The boy Zabuza found in the mountains. The one he trained as a weapon. Hinata's voice was gentle. You're not a weapon, Haku. You're a person. You can choose. My choice was made long ago. Haku raised his hands, and the snow answered. Zabuza-sama gave me purpose when I had none. His enemies are my enemies. His war is my war. Frost gathered in his palms. Leave now, and I'll let you go. Stay, and I'll add you to my collection. Naruto stepped up beside Hinata. We're not leaving. And we're not fighting you either, if we can help it. Haku's eyes shifted to him, and something like curiosity flickered there. You're the Jinchuriki. The one with the fox. He tilted his head. I've heard of you. They say you're dangerous. They say a lot of things. Do they say you're kind? Haku's question caught him off guard. Do they say you'd risk your life for people you barely know? That you'd stand in front of a frozen town and refuse to fight someone who's trying to kill you? A sad smile touched his lips. You remind me of someone I used to know. Before the world taught him that kindness was weakness. The snow swirled faster, and Naruto felt the temperature drop another 10 degrees. I'm sorry, Haku said quietly. Truly. But I can't let you pass. He moved. The battle for Taki Town had begun. 4. The Ice and the Fox. Haku's attack came without warning, but Naruto was faster. Lightning carried him sideways as a spear of ice shattered the ground where he'd stood. He rolled, came up swinging, and sent a bolt of electricity toward the Ice Mage, only to watch it dissipate against a wall of frozen mist. Smart, Shikamaru observed from somewhere behind him. He's using the moisture in the air to create insulation. Electricity needs a conductor, and ice isn't one. Then how do we hit him? Karui shouted, her sword carving through a wave of frozen spikes. You don't. Suigetsu's blade met Haku's ice with a sound like breaking glass. Ice magic this advanced, he controls everything within his line of sight. We need to blind him or force him to spread his attention. Hinata's keys flashed. I can do that. Leo, protect them. Aquarius, flood the square. The lion spirit erupted from golden light, roaring as it charged through Haku's defenses. Behind it, water surged, not freezing, not yet, but moving, disrupting the ice mage's control over the battlefield.
Haku's eyes widened slightly. Celestial magic. I haven't faced one of your kind before.
He raised a hand, and the water began to freeze mid-flow.
Fascinating. He's strong, Kurama observed. Stronger than I expected. But he's also holding back. Naruto saw it too.
Every attack Haku launched was precise, controlled aim to disable rather than kill. The ice that trapped Leo froze him solid but didn't shatter.
The spikes that forced Karui to dodge always missed by inches. He doesn't want to hurt us, Naruto realized. He's fighting because he has to, not because he wants to. That weakness can be exploited. Or understood. Naruto stopped running.
Haku noticed immediately, his pale eyes narrowing.
Giving up? No.
Naruto spread his empty hands.
Talking. There's nothing to talk about. There's always something to talk about.
Naruto took a step forward, ignoring the ice that crackled beneath his feet.
You said I reminded you of someone.
Someone kind, before the world taught him kindness was weakness.
Who was he? Haku's composure cracked, just for an instant. That's not relevant. It is to me. Another step.
The cold was agony now, seeping through his clothes, his skin, creeping toward his bones. Because I think you're still kind, Haku. I think you're standing here, fighting us, because you don't know how to stop.
Because someone taught you that your only value was as a weapon. Stop. But they were wrong.
Naruto kept walking, lightning flickering beneath his skin to fight the cold.
You're not a weapon. You're a person. You get to choose who you want to be. Haku's hands trembled.
The snow around them faltered, losing its lethal edge. Then a new voice cut through the frozen air.
Haku. Step aside.
The figure who emerged from the tower shadows was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with blue skin and gill-like slits on his neck. He carried a sword wrapped in bandages, and his smile revealed too many teeth.
Kisame, Suigetsu breathed. Kisame Carcharius.
The swordsman ignored him, focusing instead on Haku.
Zabuza sent me to check on your progress. Imagine my disappointment when I found you playing with your food instead of killing it.
His grin widened.
But don't worry. I'll clean up your mess. He moved.
Naruto barely saw it, a blur of blue flesh and bandaged steel that ended with Kisame standing between them and the tower, his sword now unwrapped. The blade was alive, covered in scales that rippled like a living thing.
Samahata, Kisame said fondly, stroking the weapon. She's hungry. It's been too long since she tasted mage flesh. Haku stepped forward. Kisame-sama, wait. Quiet.
The word carried a weight of command that made Haku flinch.
You'll answer for your weakness later. For now, watch and learn.
The battle shifted. Kisame moved like water, fluid, impossible to predict, everywhere at once. His sword consumed magic with every strike, draining power from anyone it touched. Karui screamed as Samahata grazed her arm, her enchanted blade flickering. Suigetsu's water magic barely slowed him. Even Shikamaru's shadows couldn't find purchase on his constantly shifting form. He's too fast, Shikamaru gasped, sweat freezing on his forehead.
I can't. Then don't try.
Naruto stepped forward, and Kurama's power answered his call.
I'll hold him. You figure out a way to win. You can't beat him alone, Kurama warned. Don't have to beat him. Just have to hold him. Lightning and foxfire exploded outward, forcing Kisame back a step.
The swordsman's eyes widened with interest.
Ah, the Jinchuriki.
I'd heard rumors, but he licked his lips. You're even tastier than I imagined.
Samahaga agrees. The sword pulsed hungrily. We're going to enjoy consuming you. Come and try. They clashed.
Naruto threw everything he had at Kisame, lightning bolts that should have fried a normal mage, foxfire that burned with Kurama's ancient power, physical blows enhanced by chakra until they could shatter stone. And Kisame took it all, grinning through it all, because Samahata absorbed magic and he was laughing.
Is that all? The swordsman drove a fist into Naruto's stomach, folding him around the blow.
I'd heard the nine-tailed fox was something special.
This is disappointing. Naruto coughed blood, vision swimming. Kurama, he gasped. More power. Give me. No. What? If I give you more, you'll lose yourself. And he'll consume us both.
The fox's voice was grim.
We need another way. But there wasn't another way. Kisame was too strong, too fast, too experienced. Every attack fed his sword. Every spell made him stronger. Naruto was going to die. Then something changed. Cold. Not Haku's cold, which was sharp and precise and controlled. This was different, deeper, older, laced with something that felt like grief. It swept through the battlefield, and when it passed, Kisame was frozen. Not trapped. Not stopped. Just frozen, mid-motion, with surprise still dawning on his face. Haku stood behind him, hands extended, snow swirling in patterns Naruto hadn't seen before. What, Kisame managed through frozen lips, are you doing? Haku's face was pale, but his voice was steady. What I should have done long ago. He met Naruto's eyes. You were right. I get to choose. Kisame roared, shattering the ice with raw strength, but the moment of distraction was enough. Shikamaru's shadow snapped forward, binding the swordsman's legs. Suigetsu's blade found a gap in his defense. Karui, bleeding but unbowed, drove her sword into his shoulder. And Naruto, with Kurama's power blazing through him, hit Kisame with everything he had. The swordsman fell. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Kisame laughed, a wet, bubbling sound from a throat filling with blood. Impressive, he coughed. Didn't think you had it in you. His eyes found Haku. Zabuza will kill you for this, boy. Slowly. You know how he gets. Haku flinched, but didn't look away. I know. He'll make you watch while he kills everyone you've ever. That's enough. Naruto stepped between them, blocking Haku from Kisame's gaze. You lost. Shut up. Kisame's grin widened. Lost? Boy, I'm just the first wave. The others are already in the tower. By now, they've already taken daybreak. He coughed again, weaker this time. You saved one town. But you've doomed the world. His eyes glazed over, and Kisame Karcharias, one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of Kiri, died with a smile on his face. Silence. Then, from the tower, an explosion that shook the ground. 5. The heart of the storm. They found chaos. The tower's interior was a war zone, shattered stone, frozen flames, bodies of Taiki town guards who tried to protect their treasure. And at its center, surrounded by 5 of the remaining swordsmen, stood a single figure. He was young, maybe Naruto's age, with dark hair and eyes that burned with desperate defiance. In his arms, he clutched a golden book that pulsed with dangerous light. Give it up, boy. The speaker was massive, easily the largest of the swordsmen, with spiky hair and a blade that dripped corrosive liquid. That book isn't worth dying for. Fuguki's right, agreed another, a woman with wild hair and lightning crackling along her blade. Hand it over, and we'll let you live. Maybe. The boy's jaw tightened. You'll have to kill me first. Works for me. The lightning wielder moved too fast, too deadly, and Naruto moved faster. Lightning met lightning in an explosion that blew out the remaining windows. The woman stumbled back, surprise flickering across her features as Naruto landed between her and the boy. Who the hell are you? She demanded. Fox tail. Naruto's voice carried through the sudden silence. And that book stays here. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the swordsman laughed, all 5 of them, a sound that raised the hair on Naruto's neck. Foxtail, the woman repeated. I've heard of you. Hiruzen Sarutobi's little band of misfits. Her grin was sharp as her blade. I'm Aim Yuri. Aim Yuri Ringo. And you just made the biggest mistake of your short life. Behind Naruto, the rest of his team poured into the room, Hinata with keys flashing, Suigetsu with blade ready, Karui despite her wound, Shikamaru with shadows coiling. Even Haku slipped in behind them, ice crystals forming in the air around his hands. Hinata, Naruto said quietly, get the kid out of here. We'll hold them. But. That's an order. Hinata's eyes widened. Then she nodded, grabbed the boy's arm, and ran. The swordsman moved to stop them, but Naruto's team moved faster. Suigetsu met the largest, Fuguki, with a blade of water that actually made the giant grunt. Karui engaged a man with a curved sword and a hungry smile. Shikamaru's shadows tangled with a figure who seemed made of liquid, constantly reforming. And Naruto faced Aim Yuri and the remaining 2 alone. Brave, Aim Yuri observed, lightning dancing along her blade. Stupid, but brave. She glanced at her companions, a man with a massive cleaver and another with a whipsword. Jinin, Jinpachi, take him apart. They moved as one. Naruto had never fought 3 swordsmen simultaneously. He'd never fought any swordsman before Kisame, and that had nearly killed him. This should have been impossible. But Kurama's power sang in his veins, and somewhere in the back of his mind, his father's notes whispered secrets he hadn't fully understood until now. Lightning isn't just destruction. It's speed. It's precision.
It's the moment between heartbeats where anything can happen.
Jinan's cleaver carved through empty air where Naruto had been an instant before.
Jinpachi's whipsword lashed through his afterimage.
And Amuri's lightning, Naruto took it, absorbed it, made it part of himself.
What? She gasped, as her own power turned against her.
You're not the only lightning mage here.
Naruto's voice held an echo now, Kurama's presence bleeding through.
And mine's older.
He hit her with everything. The battle raged. Naruto couldn't see the others, couldn't afford to look, but he heard them.
Suigetsu's battle cries.
Karui's sword singing.
Shikamaru's muttered strategies as he wove shadows into traps.
And beneath it all, the pulse of daybreak, growing stronger as Hinata carried it away.
The boy had been right to protect it. Naruto could feel why now the impurity magic wasn't just dangerous, it was hungry. It wanted to be used. Wanted to spread.
Even from here, it whispered promises of power, of revenge, of everything Naruto had ever wanted.
Ignore it, Kurama snarled. That's not a gift. It's a trap. I know. But knowing didn't make it easier to resist.
Every time Amuri's lightning hit him, every time Jinan's cleaver came close, every time Jinpachi's whipsword drew blood, the book whispered.
Take me. Use me. I can give you the power to protect them all.
Naruto screamed and fought harder.
Minutes or hours later, he couldn't tell, it ended. Suigetsu stood over Fuguki's fallen form, gasping.
Karui leaned on her sword, bleeding from a dozen wounds but still standing.
Shikamaru had finally trapped the liquid man, Mangetsu, in a shadow cage he couldn't escape. And Naruto stood alone among three fallen swordsmen, lightning crackling around his fists, Kurama's power finally receding. Did we? He gasped. Did we win? For now. Shikamaru's voice was exhausted. But there were 7. We only faced 6. Where's the last? A terrible suspicion dawned in Naruto's chest. Hinata.
They found her at the town gates. She stood with her back to the wall, 12 spirits arrayed before her in a protective semicircle. Most were wounded, flickering, barely holding their forms. Before her knelt the boy with the book, clutching it to his chest. And facing them both, sword raised, stood the final swordsman. He was different from the others, calmer, quieter, with eyes that held no cruelty. Just purpose. Just duty. The book, he said softly. Give it to me, and no one else has to die. Hinata's chin lifted. No. I don't want to hurt you. But I will. The sword in his hand gleamed with inner light. I'm Juzo. Juzo Biwa. And I always complete my mission. Naruto stepped out of the shadows. Then your mission's over. Juzo turned, and for the first time, surprise flickered across his features. You're alive. The others. Down. All of them. Naruto walked forward, ignoring the pain in every limb. It's just you now. And I'm really tired of fighting. Juzo studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. You're something special, aren't you? He lowered his sword. I've never seen anyone survive Ain Yuri and Jinan at the same time. Let alone beat them. He glanced at the book, then back at Naruto. Tell me something. Is it worth it? This book, I mean. Is it worth dying for? Naruto thought about it. About the whispers he'd felt, the hunger in the golden pages, the promise of power that could destroy everything. No, he said honestly. But the people protecting it are. Juzo's eyes widened. Then he laughed again, shaking his head. You know, I think I believe you. He sheathed his sword. Take the book. Guard it well. And when the others come, because they will come, eventually, tell them Juzo sends his regards. He turned and walked away into the snow. No one moved until he was gone. Then Hinata collapsed, and Naruto caught her, and the boy with the book started crying, and somewhere in the distance, the storm began to fade. 6. The Weight of Gold. They returned to Konoha as heroes. The story spread ahead of them, how Foxtail's newest team had defeated 6 of the 7 ninja swordsmen, how they protected Daybreak, how a young mage named Naruto Dragneel had stood alone against 3 swordsmen in one. By the time they reached the guild hall, a crowd had gathered to cheer their arrival. Naruto hated it. You're uncomfortable with attention, Kurama observed. Interesting. You spent years craving exactly this. That was different. That was about being seen. This is about, he struggled to find words. About people expecting things. About being something I'm not sure I am. A hero?
A hero doesn't let his friends almost die while he's busy being impressive. Kurama was quiet for a moment. Then, softly, you saved them, Kit. That's what matters. But Naruto wasn't sure. The celebration lasted 3 days. Food, drink, music, dancing, Foxtail threw itself into revelry with the same enthusiasm it brought to everything else. Naruto endured it for Hinata's sake, watching her smile as she recounted the battle to eager listeners. He endured it for Suigetsu, who'd somehow acquired a barrel of sake and was sharing it with anyone who came near. He endured it for Karui, who'd wrapped her wounds in decorative bandages and was using them as an excuse to demand free drinks. But when the master caught his eye and nodded toward the study, Naruto slipped away with relief. Sarutobi was waiting, pipe-lit, expression thoughtful. He gestured Naruto to a seat and poured 2 cups of tea before speaking. You're troubled. It wasn't a question. Naruto didn't treat it like one. The book, he said. Daybreak. What's going to happen to it? Sarutobi sighed. That's a complicated question. The council wants to study it. Some want to destroy it. Others, his eyes darkened. Others want to use it. Use it? Naruto's voice sharpened. It's impurity magic. It corrupts everything it touches. Some people believe they're strong enough to resist corruption. The master's smile was sad. They're always wrong. Naruto thought about the whispers he'd felt, the hunger that had pulsed from the golden pages. I almost took it. During the fight. It kept promising, he shook his head. It felt like everything I ever wanted. Because it was. Sarutobi leaned forward. Daybreak doesn't just corrupt magic. It reads hearts. Finds the deepest desires and offers to fulfill them at a price you don't realize you're paying until it's too late. He studied Naruto with ancient eyes. You resisted. That's more than most can claim. I had help. Naruto touched his chest, where Kurama's presence pulsed warm. He kept me grounded. Then you're luckier than most. Sarutobi was quiet for a moment. Naruto, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Do you want to be the one to guard Daybreak? The question caught him off guard. What? Me? Why? Because you've proven you can resist its influence. Because you understand its danger better than anyone. Because, the master hesitated. Because I trust you. Naruto stared at him. You barely know me. I know enough. I knew your father. I see the same light in you. Sarutobi smiled. The question isn't whether you're worthy. It's whether you're willing. Naruto thought about it. About the weight of that golden book, the whispers in his mind, the hunger that had nearly consumed him. If I say yes, he said slowly, what does it mean? Day to day? You'd be its keeper. Not its owner, no one can own impurity magic. But you'd decide where it's kept, who has access, when it's studied. Sarutobi's expression grew serious. It also means you'd be a target. Everyone who wants Daybreak will come through you first. Naruto thought about Hinata. About his team. About the family he'd finally found. If I say yes, does that put the guild in danger? It puts everyone in danger. But that's true whether you say yes or no. Daybreak is here now. Its presence threatens us all. Sarutobi met his eyes. The question is who we trust to face that threat. Naruto was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. Okay. I'll do it. Sarutobi's smile widened. I was hoping you'd say that.
The next morning, Naruto stood in a hidden chamber beneath the guild hall, staring at a golden book on a stone pedestal.
It looked harmless in the dim light. Just an old book with yellowed pages and a cover that gleamed softly. But Naruto could feel it, the hunger, the whispers, the promise of power. It called to him constantly now, a seductive murmur at the edge of his thoughts. You can do this, Kurama said. You're stronger than it is. I hope so. Footsteps behind him. Hinata. I heard, she said quietly. About your decision. Naruto didn't turn. Are you angry? Angry? She moved to stand beside him, pale eyes fixed on the book. Naruto, I'm proud of you. She shook her head. This is the kind of burden most people would run from. You chose to carry it. I chose to protect the guild. He glanced at her. That's different. Is it? She smiled, that shy expression that always made his heart skip. You're protecting us. That's exactly what family does. Naruto looked at the book, then at her. Hinata, I